UNLV Microcertificate Economics. Okay, so supply and demand stuff. Supply and demand, again, is all about markets and prices. Economics really lives in this world of markets and prices. In the market, for a market to work, right, we need large numbers of buyers and sellers. And those buyers and sellers are going to come together and they're going to negotiate an exchange. And remember, they don't need to actually go in, right? You don't need to go to Albertsons and negotiate what you're going to pay for the can of peas. But if peas aren't selling, that tells the store they need to lower the price. And if peas are flying off the shelf, that tells the store they can raise the price. So there is a negotiation going on a lot of times, even though it's as a group, right? So when you go buy a car, there really is oftentimes that one-on-one negotiation where you're having to negotiate to buy your car, find out what the price is, and buy your car. Farmers don't get to negotiate the price of wheat, but the price of wheat is determined in a massive scale across the planet Earth in some sense, where all of the farmers and all of the buyers and right that price changes day to day, hour to hour, week to week. And of course, when you go buy peanut butter, you pay whatever the price is, or you don't pay it. And again, if the store can't sell its peanut butter at the price it's charging, it's going to have a sale and lower the price. So we do. Okay? The prices we're talking about now are the money prices. That's not the only way to look at price. It's the way we look at it. We go, hey, that's $4. Okay? But that's not the only way to look at price, and we need to make sure we understand that there's another way to look at price, which is relative prices. So let's suppose here that we're going to go buy lunch at In-N-Out, and we notice that a double-double, the price of a double is 1.44 times the price of a cheeseburger. So one double-double equals 1.44 cheeseburgers. We call that the relative price. Now, suppose the double-double goes up to $4 and the cheeseburger goes up to $2.50. What happened? Well, both of their prices went up, but now one double-double is equal to 1.6 cheeseburgers price-wise. Right? The double-double went up more than the cheeseburger did. The cheeseburger is now cheaper than it was before, and the double-double is now more expensive than it was before, relatively speaking. So while both prices went up, on a relative basis, the double-double went up by more than the cheeseburger, and the cheeseburger has essentially become cheaper if what we're doing is comparing it to the double-double. Okay? So, markets. Always remember, when we're talking about what's happening in a market, there has to be competition for that market to work right. Lots of buyers and lots of sellers. You don't have, people talk about the market for energy, but it's NV or electricity. NV Energy plays in the market for electricity. They're buying and selling electricity. You don't get to do that generally. You have to take the price that NV Energy gives you and you have to pay it. Okay? And then the other part of this, of course, is that you have to have good information. Many times in the stock market, which people often use as an example of a market that's actually a market, some people have better information. They might have insider information. They might have some other information. They have better information than you do. And therefore, they're going to be able to make choices, and perhaps they're going to do better at your expense because they have better information. So we always need to know what we need to know, and sometimes we don't even know but we have to have good information, right? That's why it's riskier to buy a used car than a new car. So there's two parts to that. One part is demand. Demand is the marginal benefit. It's the additional benefit of you buying more. Demand is about consumers. Okay? Demand is about their utility, their happiness. Demand is about buying the whole taco, not the pieces in the taco. Okay? I buy the taco if I'm a consumer. It gives me utility to buy the taco. The price relative to that utility is going to influence my interest, willingness to buy. So I'm always going to be looking when something changes in our market that affects the consumer. Is it going to make me happier, not happy? What is it? Okay? And again, we'll talk about this here in more depth. I'm just trying to give you the beginning. On the other hand, supply is on the business side. And what the business cares about is making money. The business buys beef, the business buys tomatoes, the business buys chili peppers, the business hires the labor to make the taco. So different things affect the businesses than affect the consumer, at least directly speaking. Okay? Related to this is also a cute little economics phrase that we use. You can either say ceteris paribus or cateris paribus, depending on where you learned your Latin, which means all other things being equal. If we change four things at the same time, right? So let's suppose that there's inflation, and we go back and we saw that, the government printed money, but at the same time there's a crisis in not enough trucks and not enough truck drivers, and the supply chain's a mess, and then there's a new trade war going. So all these things changed all at the same time. I can't really separate out the effect of each individual one if all I know is all four changed. What we have to do is separate out one thing from the other. Okay? And that means ceteris paribus. We allow one thing to change at a time. So when we're looking at something theoretically, we allow one thing to change at a time. If I want to sort out, I have four potential causes of inflation, or all of them might be a partial cause, and I want to sort it out, I have to figure out a way to hold three constant while one changes. Hold another three okay? I need to hold things constant. So, demand. What do we mean when we say demand? To have a demand for something, the first thing is you have to be willing to buy it. Hang on here. The other part of this is you have to be able to buy it. So I am able to buy Barry Manilow music. I am not willing. I am able to buy Metallica. I am willing. Therefore, I have a demand for Metallica, but not for Barry Manilow. I am willing to buy that $1 million Ferrari down there at the bottom. I am not able. Okay? But this is all at whatever the price is. So let's suppose that Ferrari has a sale for Enzo's 120th birthday, and that a Ferrari is $20,000. I'm willing. I'm able. I'm going to call in sick at work for a couple weeks, and you're not going to see me. Okay? So demand, willing and able at the price. They can lower Barry Manilow albums to a penny a piece. I'm not buying them. Okay? So how willing am I? How able am I? Given whatever the current price is. What's the given price? All right? So the quantity demanded is the amount consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price. How much am I willing and able to buy at a given price? Right? So all this stuff goes together. I might not buy that jar of peanut butter this week because the price is really high and next week it goes on sale and I buy 10 of them. Okay? Willing and able to buy related to that price. So there's a law of demand, and the law of demand says, ceteris paribus, the higher the price of a good, the smaller is the quantity demanded. In other words, consumers do not like high prices. Consumers like low prices. And again, why? My utility, my happiness. the less I have to pay for something, the happier I am about it. If gas is $2 a gallon, I'm happier than if gas is $4.80 a gallon, right? So my utility in part depends on how much I have to pay for something. And that means that I like low prices. I don't like high prices. The higher the price, the smaller will be the quantity demanded. And of course, as the price goes up, some people suddenly are not able to buy it. Not just not willing to buy this good, but now suddenly they're not able to buy it, and they're going to buy less of it, right? So willing and able, dependent upon the price, right? So there's more complex reasons why, as economists talk about them. One is what we call the substitution effect. So let's say you're a big meat eater and you go to Morton's every Friday night. And then Morton's raises their already extreme prices to even higher prices. Maybe you're going to react to that by substituting, what we call the substitution effect. So Morton's raises their prices a lot. Maybe what you do is eat at Morton's every other Friday and eat at Outback every other Friday. You substitute away. People substitute away from high-priced things toward lower-priced things. Okay? Substitution effect. So when the price of X goes up, I might buy more of Y. And we also have something called the income effect. What effect does it have on me when the price of gasoline goes up? Well, the price of gasoline going up is the same thing as if my income had gone down. It means I'm going to have to buy, after I buy my gas, I'm going to have less income to spend on other things. So the price increase in gasoline, or anything else for that matter, but the price increase in gasoline is going to affect me as if my income had gone down, which means maybe I make fewer trips to Taco Bell because I have less income, or maybe I was eating at Chipotle and now I'm going to eat at Taco Bell because my income has gone down, right? So I'm going to change my behavior when prices go up. I'm going to change my behavior by substituting to lower price things, and I might buy less of everything in total because it's as if my income had gone down. Remember that demand is marginal benefit, and it's all about this willing and able at the current price. Okay? So non-price changes change demand. Things that don't change the price or aren't explicitly the price change demand. But changes in supply change just the price and therefore change the quantity demanded. We're going to see that supply and demand interact. Okay? That supply and demand, Alfred Marshall, who we talked about before, he talked about supply and demand being essentially a pair of scissors. And you need both blades. So when nothing else changes but supply, the price changes and the quantity demanded changes. So when someone says, hey, the price went up, my demand changed. No. What made the price change is what made your demand change. So it could be that the supply changed and that affected your willingness to buy, affected your demand. Or it could be that something else affected you. And what do we mean by something else? Well, there's 4 broad categories of things that we consider to be these demand shifters. One is the prices of other goods, and that includes prices in the future. So you're going to compare that Morton's to that Outback. You're going to think about what might happen to car prices next year over this year, and that's going to affect your demand. Your income affects your demand. Your expectation of your future income is going to affect demand. How many people there are out there is going to affect demand. There's a lot more stuff sold in Las Vegas now than there was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, just because the population is higher. And then we have what's called preferences, okay? And we get to talk about all of these fun things. Remember that demand shifters are all about the utility of the consumer, the happiness of the consumer. Okay?